she's making more, according to him, I don't have the actual numbers, in one speaking engagement than an entire WNBA season, and she don't even have to leave the house. And Clark can get away with charging very high numbers and fees.
Caitlin Clark did not even let the paint dry on the WNBA's tumultuous season before she was out there, cashing her very next check. And while half of the entire league is still busy arguing over their salaries and their social media likes, Caitlin Clark has already managed to secure her very first off-season job, and it is a job that is now sending a series of tremors through every single locker room everywhere, because she is not just chasing points or assists this time around. No, she is now chasing a legacy, she is chasing a leverage, and she is chasing a whole lot of money, and absolutely no one is feeling that sting any harder than Angel Reese, who simply cannot seem to escape the one single undeniable fact that once again, every single major headline now belongs to Caitlin, and we will be revealing, later on in this very video, some exclusive footage of Angel Reese's hilarious and very telling reaction to Caitlin's brand new and very lucrative speaking fee.
It's been very instrumental in shaping my career, and we had a sports psychologist and therapist that would travel with our team and would be there for people that had performance anxiety or had, things going on completely outside of basketball that nobody knows about, nobody watching on TV knows about, and at the end of the day, a lot of people forget we're humans. We have lives outside of sports, and we have problems outside of sports, we have a lot of great things outside of sports.
And let's be very clear about something. This move is not just a simple business transaction. No, this is a statement of pure and unadulterated off-court domination. And while the entire WNBA is now stumbling its way through all of its CBA drama, through all of its travel debates, and through another entire season of Kathy Engelbert, who is now playing a game of hide and seek with the media, Caitlin Clark is out there, signing the kinds of deals that now make the league's own paltry salaries look like they are nothing more than a simple and almost insulting side hustle. But here is the real kicker to this entire and still unfolding story. These are not just your standard run-of-the-mill shoe endorsements, or your typical 30-second television commercials. No, these are now a series of high-profile corporate speaking gigs at a reported $100,000 a pop. Gigs where Caitlin Clark is now getting paid some legitimate superstar level money just to show up and to talk about the one single thing that she already does best, winning.
And it looked like Caitlin Clark has landed her first speaking gig of the offseason. His last offseason was Caitlin Clark $100,000 an hour speaking gigs. Well, I'm here to tell you, she is not taking long getting back to work, raking in the cash, because she has landed.
We are talking about some of the world's biggest Fortune 500 level events. We are talking about some very polished corporate ballrooms. And we are talking about some checks that are so fat that they would make even a Wall Street banker blush. Because according to some of the most recent reports, Caitlin Clark is now commanding a cool 6 figures for every single one of her speaking appearances. And she is now literally getting paid more money to just talk about the game of basketball than some of the other players in this league are getting paid for actually playing it. And while that may sound completely and totally outrageous, it is also perfectly and completely on brand for the one single woman who had turned the Iowa Hawkeyes into some must-see primetime TV, and who had single-handedly dragged the entire WNBA into the national and the international spotlight. The WNBA season has barely even ended, and she is already the talk of the entire sports business world. So why are all of these major international companies all now calling Caitlin Clark and not Angel Reese? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below.
But she can also make some serious cash, and that's a virtual one right there. And according to an old LinkedIn post, her virtual speaking fee starts at $100,000, which is, you're talking about on Zoom or whatever, right? That is nuts.
That is absolutely and completely nuts. And her very next big gig, it is a featured keynote address at the Long Island Association's annual conference, which is one of the single most exclusive business events on the entire East Coast. And this is not just some run-of-the-mill charity banquet either. No, this is a very highly paid corporate appearance at a very luxurious and a very exclusive country club, a place where all of the top executives all talk about their multi-million-dollar deals over some champagne and some caviar. And Caitlin Clark is now going to be sitting down with the association's own personal president, who is a man by the name of Matt Cohen, to talk all about her own record-breaking rise, about her own unique leadership mindset, and about how she is now in the process of redefining the world of women's sports in real time.
But look like Caitlin Clark is headed to Long Island Association. bro. So it stated Long Island Association joined the Long Island Association's president and CEO Matt Cohen moderates a special conversation with Caitlin Clark discussing her record-breaking performances, impact, and cultural influence on October the 29th at 10:30 to 12:30 in New York.
And here is where things now get deliciously and almost painfully awkward for the entire WNBA, because Caitlin Clark will now be earning in a single solitary hour what most of the other players in this league will be making in an entire grueling season. Because the average WNBA salary now sits at around $120,000, and Caitlin, well, she can now just go and make that in a single morning in her full and in her perfect glam, and she can do it all while she is just speaking to a room full of people who actually appreciate her greatness. There will be no hard fouls, there will be no cheap elbows, and there will be no referees who are just pretending to be blind. No, there will just be some air conditioning, there will be a lot of applause, and there will be some 5-star catering. And meanwhile, the league's own personal commissioner is probably still holding another one of her urgent meetings to talk all about the charter flights and about her own personal marketing plans. And that is the one single part of this entire and still unfolding story that now makes Angel Reese just squirm, because she has been so desperate to be the league's own personal face, the self-proclaimed Bayou Barbie, who has now been turned into a pro personality. But Caitlin has just done it all faster, she has done it all bigger, and she has done it all better, because Angel can now just post all of the selfies and all of the sound bites that she wants, and she can talk all about her respect and about being real. But Caitlin is not out there just chasing the attention anymore. No, she is now out there cashing it.
She's become the protagonist, the opposite. She's the
instigator.
She's the instigator.
100%.
Her post games reek a little bit of jealousy and bitterness.
Because this is not just another simple gig. No, this is a power move. And every single time that Caitlin Clark signs one of these kinds of deals, she is quietly and almost imperceptibly changing the entire balance of power in the world of women's sports. Because when one single player becomes bigger than the league that she plays in, then the entire dynamic of that league completely and totally flips. The sponsors will all start to ask themselves a very dangerous and a very uncomfortable question. Do we really need the WNBA's logo when Caitlin Clark's own personal name alone can fill entire arenas, and the television networks will then stop calling the league's own personal PR office? No, they will just start to call her agent instead. And for all of the other players in this league, like Angel Reese, who had all thought that their own personal status was completely and totally untouchable, it is now a brutal and a very public reminder that true relevance does not come from just talking about it. No, it comes from actually producing it. And Caitlin Clark is not just sitting around waiting for the WNBA to try and figure itself out. No, she is out there building her own personal empire, one mic at a time. Just think about it for a second. Some of the major and most decorated athletes in the world, like Serena Williams, like Peyton Manning, and like Tom Brady, all now charge somewhere between $150,000 and $250,000 for every single one of their speaking events. And Caitlin Clark is already in that exact same and very rarefied conversation. And she is now doing these business panels with the exact same kind of precision that she uses to run a fast break on the court. And she is now making these corporate audiences cheer for her in the exact same way that she makes the fans roar for her from half court.
I don't know what it is, but these women forever hating on CC, dog. It's looking real spooky out there for a bunch of these WNBA stars.
And meanwhile, Angel Reese is just somewhere out there, doom scrolling, and she is just watching as all of the headlines have now shifted, once again, to Caitlin Clark. And you can practically feel all of the envy right through the screen, because while Angel is just out there, tweeting all of her cryptic quotes about being overlooked and about doing it her way, Caitlin is out here, just preparing for her next keynote speech. One of them is just fighting for the clout, and the other one is just printing the invoices. And guess what we have just discovered? So let's just talk about Angel Reese's newest and most desperate attempt to try and match Caitlin Clark's own personal success. Do you remember how Caitlin Clark's own personal speaking fee had just made all of the headlines at a cool $100,000? Well, guess what? Angel Reese has now just suddenly and very conveniently increased her own personal fee to the exact same and very round amount, Because if you go to this very popular website, a website that has been known to book all of the top sports speakers for the last 25 years, then you will now just conspicuously see Angel Reese's brand new and very convenient speaking fee. A coincidence? I think not. So let's just rewind to a few months ago. It is the exact same website, but here Angel Reese's own personal fee is not declared, and the website just says that they should be contacted for any further information on the matter. But this story now runs much deeper than just simple and almost petty jealousy. No, this is now about control, because Caitlin Clark has now just built something that no other single WNBA player has ever been able to achieve before. Total and complete financial and personal independence. Because while the rest of the entire league is now fighting over all of the various collective bargaining points, Caitlin Clark is now out there, proving that she does not need the system in order to be able to thrive. Because the WNBA now needs her far more than she will ever need them, and the power dynamic has now completely and totally shifted, and the league now knows it. Because every single time that her own personal name now trends, they get a free and a very massive boost. And every single time that she speaks, she just legitimizes their entire product. But here is the real twist in all of this. It is her product now.
She's talking about, you know, she's charging $100K for speaking events, and fans is like, Shrek? Since when? And like, you only doing this because of Caitlin.
And so it is absolutely no surprise that the world's biggest and most powerful corporations now understand her true and undeniable value far better than the WNBA ever did, because they all see Caitlin Clark for what she truly is, a global, transcendent brand, and not just a simple and an easily replaceable player, because her own personal reach is no longer just confined to the states of Indiana or of Iowa. No, it is now a worldwide phenomenon. There are now kids in Europe who are out there trying to copy her form on the court. There are now fans in Asia who are out there streaming all of her highlights. And there are now parents all across the entire United States who are out there buying her jerseys for their own young daughters. Because every single generation of women's sports has needed a trailblazer, and Caitlin Clark is the one who has now shown up. And that is what makes her upcoming Long Island Conference appearance so much more than just another simple paycheck. No, it is a signal. It is a signal that the entire and very powerful business world has now officially crowned Caitlin Clark as the one true face of women's sports, and that they have done it all without ever having needed the league's own personal approval. And Angel Reese can now just call herself the face of the WNBA all day long. But the reality of the situation is simple, and it is undeniable. When the world's biggest and most powerful corporations are out there cutting six-figure checks for Caitlin Clark to just speak for an hour, then they are telling the truth with their own personal money, and it is not even close.
That's jealousy and envy and delusion, all mixed together. Angel Reese has done a couple of nice things, added some femininity to the way these women dress. Great. No one's tuning in to watch Angel Reese play basketball. She's not that skilled. She's not that good. She's an energy player. She gets rebounds. She gets puts back. But no one's tuning in to watch Angel Reese. It's just not happening.
It is just not happening for her. Because while Angel Reese is still out there, just chasing after some social media validation, Caitlin Clark is now busy mastering the one single game that actually and truly matters, the money game. And she is now in the process of turning her own personal platform into a source of power. She is now in the process of turning her own personal voice into a source of value. And she is now in the process of turning her own personal influence into a source of income. And every single major event that she now headlines just serves as a powerful and a very public reminder to the entire world that she is no longer just a part of the conversation. No, she is the conversation. And at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark is not just out there just collecting some checks. No, she is now out there rewriting the entire and very outdated playbook for the world of women's sports. And she is now in the process of showing everyone that independence will always beat insecurity, and that substance will always outlast the noise. And while Angel Reese just fumes, and while she is just wondering why the spotlight just keeps on slipping away from her, Caitlin Clark just keeps on shining, and she just keeps on shining brighter. She is shining on the court, she is shining on the stage, and she will soon and probably be shining in the boardroom too.
I think the thing about leadership is like how you approach every single person is going to be completely different. And I think the thing that's helped me be successful throughout my career has been the relationships that I've been able to build with people. And every single person you have to approach differently because they come from a different background, they come from a different place. Somebody can be a little more tenderhearted, and for me, I'm probably want to be screamed at. Like, it's just everybody's a little bit different. So I think that's what's unique about leadership and being able to understand people, but that takes time, and building relationships is really important.
Those are the facts. And let's be real, the jealousy is impossible to miss. You can almost see Angel scrolling through Twitter, fuming every time Caitlyn's name trends. She's been trying to convince the world she's the WNBA's it girl, but Clark came in and took that crown in less than a season. Angel spent her first 2 years in the league talking about fashion, fame, and impact, while Caitlyn's built an actual business empire. Reese might be worried about outfit deals. Caitlyn's out here landing corporate partnerships that pay 7 figures. It's a different universe entirely. And deep down, Angel knows it. Because here's the reality check no one in the league wants to admit. Caitlyn Clark has turned into something the WNBA has never had before. A player so powerful, she doesn't need their system. When one athlete's name becomes bigger than the league's logo, the power dynamic flips overnight. Brands start asking if they even need to go through the WNBA anymore. Fans start tuning in for the player, not the product. That's what Caitlyn Clark has created, her own gravitational pull. And for players like Angel Reese, who thought the spotlight was secure, that's gotta sting.
She's not Michael Jordan. She's not Magic Johnson. She's not Larry Bird. She's someone that taunted Caitlyn Clark on a big stage. Those are the facts.
And here is the one single and very uncomfortable truth of this entire and still unfolding story. When Caitlyn Clark plays in a game, the ratings absolutely and completely explode. And when she sits out of a game, the audience just completely and totally vanishes. And that is not just some empty hype either. No, that is the hard, cold math of the situation. Because she is now the entire economy of the WNBA. So you can just imagine all of the boardroom anxiety that is now raging now that the league's single biggest draw is out there, just making all of this money completely and totally independent of them. There are no WNBA logos, there are no sponsor kickbacks, and there are no league marketing campaigns to be seen anywhere. No, there is just Caitlyn, there is a microphone, and there is another and another massive payday. Because it is now Caitlyn Clark's own personal world, and the league is now just trying to stay relevant in it. And you can practically hear all of the alarm bells that are now just ringing off the hook in the league's own personal front office. The WNBA-aligned media outlets are all now just scrambling to try and downplay this entire story. It is just one event, they are all now just saying. And yeah, sure, that is what they had all said last year too, right before that one single gig had then just turned into half a dozen more. And now, one single speaking event now trends on social media for 2 straight days, and then suddenly all of the major sponsors are all just lining up with their blank checks. And the craziest part of it all? She is now doing all of this in some heels and in a blazer and not in some sneakers and in some knee pads. And meanwhile, Angel Reese is just out here, just posting all of her filtered selfies and just talking all about staying humble, while Caitlyn is just out here, just staying booked.
Throughout the year, WNBA players were demanding to be given credit for elevating the league. Angel Reese claimed that she was along with their pretend friends in the mainstream media. They wanted us to believe that the WNBA was exploding in popularity. They wanted to keep all the credit for themselves while downplaying the impact of the only star in the league, Caitlyn Clark.
Now, some of the fans have been wondering why Caitlyn Clark did not just go and join Unrivaled, which is that player-run off-season league that has been started by Nafisa Collier and by Brianna Stewart. And the answer to that question is simple. She does not need to, because Unrivaled was made for the players who are in need of some extra off-season income and some extra off-season exposure. And Caitlyn Clark does not need either of those things, because she is already a global and a very powerful brand. So why would she risk an injury in a side project when she can just go and make the same and perhaps even more money in a single solitary hour just by speaking to a room full of executives? And that is not arrogance either. No, that is intelligence, because Caitlyn Clark is not out there just playing some pickup games for some pennies. No, she is out there building some generational wealth. And that is the one single and very real difference between just talking about success and actually achieving it. And of course, the haters have to chime in too, because some of the people who are online are now saying that she should be using her platform to fight for others. And bro, she is fighting. She is just not fighting in the way that you think, because she is fighting by leading, and she is in the process of showing every single young woman in the world of sports that you do not need to beg for respect. No, you can create your own personal value, because Caitlyn Clark is now in the process of building a roadmap that every single other athlete in this league could follow if they just had the discipline to do it. And she is in the process of teaching them all about independence, about confidence, and about self-worth. And that is exactly what now terrifies the WNBA, because once more of their players all realize that they can go and make some real and some serious money outside of the league, then all of their control over them is completely and totally gone. And that is why you can now practically hear the commissioner's own personal office just holding its collective breath every single time that her name now trends.
Well, now, jealous WNBA players will have the opportunity to earn that credit. Now, players like Angel Reese, they will be given the chance to test their star power.
And this Long Island Association event, it's just the start.
And this upcoming Long Island Association event, well, it is just the start of it all, because this is not just a casual one-off speaking gig either. No, this is Caitlin's own personal corporate coming out party, and it is a signal flare to every single major company in the entire United States that she is now officially open for business. And so next up, you can just expect to see another one of her massive Nike campaigns, and then maybe you will see a Netflix docuseries, and then maybe you will even see a youth basketball academy with her own personal name on the gym doors. Oh wait, she has already done all of those things and even more, and every single other deal from here on out will now be happening completely and totally outside of the WNBA's own personal grasp. And meanwhile, the league's own personal PR team is just busy tweeting out a series of vague and almost meaningless statements about growth and about momentum. And they are some great and some very corporate sounding buzzwords for sure, but Caitlin is not out there just tweeting. No, she is out there just executing. And she is not out there just waiting for the WNBA to try and catch up to her. No, she is out there just building her own personal economy right from scratch. And now here is where this entire and still unfolding story gets hilariously and almost poetically perfect, because Caitlin Clark's own personal Long Island speech is now scheduled for October 29th, which is just 2 days before the WNBA's own personal CBA is set to expire. So just picture this scene for a moment. While the entire league is now just spiraling into a series of bitter and very public labor disputes and pay negotiations, their single biggest and most valuable star will be just sitting there in a New York ballroom, and she will be just addressing a room full of CEOs all about leadership and about success. And the optics of that, they are absolutely and completely brutal. And the headlines, they are completely and totally automatic. WNBA faces a lockout while Caitlin Clark cashes in, and you could not possibly script a better or a more delicious irony if you had tried to.
Once again, WNBA players are getting exactly what they wanted. Here is your chance to prove that you can make it without Caitlin Clark. Here is your chance to prove that you're all stars, instead of the reality, which is you're in the spotlight of the real star.
And the WNBA has simply never had to deal with a player like her before, because they cannot just fine her for speaking her mind, and they cannot just frame her as being difficult either, because she is completely and totally professional, she is completely and totally composed, and she is completely and totally scandal-free. And she does not fight with her own teammates, and she does not take any cheap shots at her own rivals either, and she does not need any kind of controversy in order to be able to trend on social media either. No, she just wins, and she just cashes her checks while she is doing it. And that is why Angel Reese's own personal envy now just burns even deeper, because she is now in the process of realizing that Caitlin Clark has now just mastered everything that she herself has tried to fake. She has mastered authenticity, she has mastered professionalism, and she has mastered excellence. And Caitlin Clark does not need to say that she is the face of the league either, because the entire world has already decided that for her. And here is what now makes it all even worse for Angel Reese, because people actually like Caitlin Clark, and even the casual fans, the ones who do not even follow the sport of women's basketball, all seem to respect her, because they can all see her focus, they can all see her humility, and they can all see her drive. And she does not talk about her fame either. No, she just talks about the work, and she does not act as if she is entitled to anything either. No, she just earns it. And that is what now makes her completely and totally bulletproof, because the WNBA cannot control her, and the media cannot spin her, and all of the bitter other players in this league cannot just drag her down either, because Caitlin Clark's own personal reputation now stands much taller than the entire and very broken system that has tried so desperately to contain her.
Shooting 39% on the year as a power forward, as a 4, as somebody who shoots within 5 feet of the basket on, let's say, 90% of your field goal attempts, that's not too good.
But the real, true, and almost existential nightmare scenario for the WNBA? Well, it is not just the simple and almost petty jealousy. No, it is the very real and the very terrifying possibility that Caitlin Clark will one day just realize that she does not need to come back. Just think about it for a second. If she were to ever just take a single season off, then the league's own personal ratings would not just dip, no, they would crater overnight. The sponsorships would all just dry up, and the ticket sales would all just evaporate. The whole entire system would just wobble on its very foundations. And meanwhile, Caitlin Clark would not lose a single solitary cent. No, she would just keep on signing her deals, and she would just keep on building her own personal legacy. And that is what true and almost unassailable power looks like. And the best part of it all? She does not even have to brag about it either. No, she does not post about it. And she does not clap back at her critics either. And she does not engage with all of the drama either. No, she just lets the numbers speak for themselves. And every single time that Forbes now mentions her, and every single time that a new headline now drops about another one of her deals, the gap between her and everyone else in this league just grows wider, because she has now just turned her own personal professionalism into a superpower. And the rest of the entire league just cannot keep up with her. This offseason, Caitlin Clark has now just turned herself into a one-woman and a very successful business school. And the WNBA is still out there just arguing about the charter flights and about their own personal travel budgets, while she is out there on a stage and she is just giving some keynote speeches to a room full of millionaires. And every single other move that she now makes just becomes some national news. And every single one of her silences now just becomes a headline. And even her own personal downtime now just turns into a strategy. And that is how you know that you have now reached a level that is beyond the world of sports. The very same level that Angel Reese's own personal PR team just keeps on pretending that she is on. And the truth of the matter is, the WNBA was never ever ready for a player like Caitlin Clark, because they had just wanted some marketable and some very controllable stars. And instead, they had just gotten a generational icon who had outgrown their entire system before she had even had a chance to step onto the court. Because Caitlin Clark does not need the WNBA's own personal spotlight. No, the spotlight just follows her everywhere that she goes. So when she walks into that Long Island ballroom and she is just calm and she is just poised and she is just perfectly confident, everyone who is in attendance there will all just realize the exact same and the very undeniable thing. They are not just looking at an athlete, no, they are looking at a brand, they are looking at a mogul, and they are looking at a movement. And somewhere all across the country, Angel Reese will be just scrolling through her own personal phone, and she will be just refreshing her own personal feed, and she will be just watching as Caitlin Clark just trends once again, and she will be just wondering how it feels to lose a spotlight that she had never really owned in the first place. So why are all of these major international companies all now calling Caitlin Clark and not Angel Reese? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Be sure to like, to subscribe, and to turn on all of your notifications so that you will never miss out on any of our future content. Click on the video that is on your screen right now, and we will see you in the next one.